Hello friends, I'm Naren, your host, and in this video we are going to talk about the difference between manual resource and the resource from code. Manual resource, when you are working on AWS or any other cloud provider, you have to log into the provider console and create the resource by yourself. And if you are using Terraform, then you can write the Terraform script to launch the same infrastructure on the cloud provider. Today I will show you how time consuming when you are creating resource manually, and when you are creating resource manually it's also possible you made a mistake. Since any operation that you have do manually, there is a possibility and probably high possibility that you make a mistake. And also it become little bit tedious. But when you are using the code, it will be super easy. So today we are going to create infrastructure in both way, using manual and using the infrastructure as code by Terraform. So let's go to the code section. We have the browser. I logging into my account, and here is the default VPC. We will going to create a new VPC by ourselves. So you can see there is a create VPC button here. Let's create the VPC. We will create only VPC only, and then you can choose, let's say, my VPC, and keep the IPv4 CIDR block default, and I will choose 176.0.0.0/16, and keep the default tendency name. Tag name is okay. Let's create. Now when VPC is nothing but the virtual private cloud network that it is isolated network for your instances and your application. Now creating a VPC has been done, but this is not just enough. Like, you have to create the subnet, then you have to create the route table and then internet gateway in order to access the internet from your public subnet. So let's create the subnet part. These subnet are the default subnet which belongs to the default VPC. We are not supposed to going to use this one. We will create a new subnet. So let's create a new subnet for our newly created VPC. So here you have to select the VPC. I have two VPC, the default one and the my VPC. Let's click on the my VPC. Here you can see the IPv CIDR range, and now we have the subnet setting. Let's say create public subnet, and availability zone no preference. Let it keep automatically whatever it require, and we will select the VPC CIDR range, and then we have to select our subnet CIDR range. So let's say I will go for public 24, and then give the public subnet as a name of the tag. Add one more private subnet, so we can add one more. Let's give the name private subnet, and then no preferences, and select the VPC CIDR range, and then here my private I want to start with 100.0 and 2024. Keep the name same. Now you maybe wonder, I'm creating the two subnet in the same order, so how I will make sure that which one is public, which one is the private, except the name. The private subnet do not have the internet gateway, but in the public subnet we will create the internet gateway, and that's how it's going to be differentiate the public subnet and the private subnet. So we have created two subnet here. Let's click on the create subnet button and it will be create to subnet. Now let's create the internet gateway. Internet gateway is required for your public subnet to access the internet from your instance or from your virtual private network. So let's say this is the default internet gateway and we are not going to use default internet gateway. Let's create the internet gateway. Say my IGW, my internet gateway, and keep the default tag create internet gateway. When you are creating the internet gateway, by default the internet gateway is not attached to the VPC, so we have to attach this internet gateway in the VPC. So select the internet gateway, click on the action and saying attach to VPC, and you have to select the VPC and then we will say attach to my VPC. In this way you will attach to the VPC. Now after creating the internet gateway, we have to create the route table. That route table later we will associate it in the subnet, right? So in the route table we have, let's create the public route table RT and select your VPC, that is this one, and then create the public route table. And then we have the route table. In this route table we are going to assign the public subnet. So by default, explicitly without association, both subnet public and private are accessing in the explicitly association. So let's edit the subnet association. We are going to assign the public subnet only. So now you can see we have assigned the public subnet. Okay, and then we have to go to IC internet gateway is this, and then route tables. You have to go to your route table again, and in this route table we have to attach the internet gateway. So edit the route. Here add the route. I want to add 00 and the internet gateway, and then you select your internet gateway. In this way we are make sure that our subnet, our instance will access the internet. So this is the process of creating a VPC manually. Now you can see we have performed several tasks when we create the VPC. Of course, VPC is the a big feature of AWS, and there are a lot of things need to be created um, along with the NAT gateway and route server TCP option set based on your requirement. We are here just discussing the basic things that we need in order to launching an instance in the private VPC and accessing the internet from that is EC2 instance. Now so here in this manually it will take us around like 5 to 10 minutes while we creating this VPC and also creating its related subnets and route table in internet gateway. Now let's do this using Terraform. When you are running the Terraform script, it will be take around like 1 to 2 minutes creating all the tasks, and it's also easy to destroy whatever you have created. So I have create a project manual with code. In this I created a main.tf file, which is nothing but it's containing the VPC related code. We will discuss in a minute what this code is doing and how it is working. And and also we have output.tf, which is empty, but you can create the output if you want. Output, let's say I want to get the VPC VPC ID, and then you have to assign value. Then you have AWS VPC, my VPC name is this icvpc.id, and then it will be print the VPC ID after the VPC created. And we have the provider. By default you have to mention that which provider you are using, and we have the variables. This variable files is nothing but is a default, is provide a default value for your VPC and all other things. So let's look into the code. We have AWS VPC resource that will help us to create the VPC, and this is the name of our VPC, and we assign the CIDR blocks same like manually we did, and we have the tag, and we have the resource, and then we are creating a subnet resource, both public and private. We assign the VPC CIDR block for private, CIDR block for public, and then give the tag name. And then we have a internet gateway resource that is require a VPC and a name, and then we will create the route table resource and the public RT, and then we will assign the internet gateway to the route table. After this, we have a last action, that route table association, where we are associating our public subnet. Okay, before run this code, let's go and delete all the service that we have created in the manual way. So first of all, we are going to route table. In the public route table, we have to remove the internet gateway, and then we can save the change. The internet gateway has been removed, and go to internet gateway and perform the detach action from the VPC. So you can copy here detach, paste it, and let's detach it. After detach, we can delete the internet gateway. So it will ask delete. We will delete the internet gateway, so it will be delete the internet gateway. And then we can also go to public route table subnet association, and we can remove the subnet association from the route table, and then save the changes. And then you can delete the route table. Let's delete it, and I think we have to delete both the route tables. So let's delete both the route tables, and we will say delete. Now both the route table has been deleted, internet gateway also deleted, and then we have to select the public and private subnet and perform the delete action on the subnet. And then we are deleting both the subnet from the console. After delete all the associated service, finally we will select the VPC and perform the delete action on the VPC. So as you can see, this is the manual work we have to do when we are creating the VPC. But if you are using the Terraform script, it is very easy to create and very easy to destroy. So now, as you can see, we have write one script. Let's go here on the folder manual VS Code, and then we perform the our first command terraform init. Now this will help us to initialize and downloading the portal. This will help us to initialize and downloading the related provider plugin. In this case, we are using AWS provider, so it will download AWS provider plugin to our directory. Since we did not specify the backend, so backend will not get initialized. And now downloading take a little bit time, and now you can see a new folder named .terraform appear. In this folder we can see our downloaded AWS plugin. So you can see here we have downloaded. Now our first command is completely done successfully. So now let's run the Terraform plan. This will help us to uh, check over a script and give us a result that what are the infrastructure that going to be created. It's not yet create, just a plan, and it will list it out how many resources we are going to create on the AWS. Okay, just wait for the plan to be appear on our console, and then after we can run the Terraform apply. So now you can see we have 6 resource to add and 0 to change, 0 to destroy, because we are creating first time. So let's say Terraform apply, and I'm passing the auto approve flag, meaning it will not ask. Auto approve means it will not ask the user confirmation, and it will directly create all the ratios. Now you can see we are creating VPC. It will create the VPC, and then it will be create internet gateway, and then subnet, public subnet, private subnet, and done. So it will almost take like 1 minute to create all the VPC resource. Now let's move to the console and we can refresh the page. Then you can see a newly VPC get created, VPC from Terraform. We will have possibly have two subnet here that we have to refresh. Now you can see public subnet, private subnet, and we also have a public route table, private route table. Of course, if you go inside the public route table, like you can select here public route table, then you can see we have the route details here. Internet gateway has been attached successfully. Subnet, we have a public subnet attached, and the private subnet by default is attached, right? Internet gateway, we have internet gateway here, and it also attached to VPC. Now let's destroy this. So we have in Terraform we have a command called destroy. Now we are running Terraform destroy command with auto approve flag, meaning it will not ask a user confirmation. When you are destroying, then since we already have the state downloaded and it's create the state file, so it always be refreshing the state and then perform the delete action. So 6 resource has been deleted successfully. Now move to the console and you can refresh the page. Then you can see that the newly created VPC has been deleted successfully, and also the subnet, you can refresh the page, the subnet is gone. Route table, you can see we only have one route table right now. Internet gateway right now, let's refresh the page, you can see only one. So this is how the manual and automated resource is working. So that's all for this video, and see you in the next video. Thank you for watching this video.